what would you say have been your most reflective moments of, say, 2022, because it's the year that we have just passed? Looking back, what would you say have been your most reflective moments?
That's a pretty big question, but if I should attempt it, given all of what would have transpired in 2022, I would say that my most reflective moment would have been a period of manifestation and a period of taking healthy risk. And I characterize my reflection in that way because I saw how things unfolded and how it would have allowed me to become one with those two things. So manifestation and also taking healthy risks, getting out of my comfort zone and going on a path that is probably uncharted territory, but one that provides potential rewards at the end. So in a nutshell, I would characterize my reflection in that way.
I like the point of healthy risk, because going back in time, we learned that where there is no risk, there is no reward. Talk to us a little bit more about that healthy risk aspect of your reflection.
So last year, it would have seen me making certain career decisions, making certain career choices. So I would have been in what here in Jamaica is called central government, which is really a government ministry. And within the government ministry, I would have been a permanent employee. But as someone who is always looking to accelerate my own growth and also to go in an environment that support that acceleration, I would have resigned from central government ministry and transferred to another government entity. But in this instance, it's on contract and it's not a government ministry. So that kind of step, I don't think I would have taken, say, 2 years ago. And I saw myself looking at that step as being healthy and one that I must take to give myself the opportunity to grow, as well as the opportunity to appreciate what is out there. So that is the healthy risk. And also there was manifestation. So as someone who comes from academia previously, I have a passion for teaching, for imparting knowledge. And at the start of the year, I would have just thrown it out to the universe that I want to get back into lecturing. I want to get back into teaching. And midway the year, around September, I would have gotten an email in response to an application that I would have sent to a university the previous year. And so we are now looking at almost 1 year after I am getting a response to say that there is a vacancy. And based on my resume, they would be interested in employing me. And so I saw that as coming full circle, where I would have manifested it at the beginning of 2021. And then I am seeing everything coming into fruition midway last year. So those two events for me really gave me opportunity to pause and to reflect, and also to appreciate that life usually transpires in a way that we often do not imagine it. But if we should pause and to reflect, it is the way that God planned our life. And we just have to go with the inspiration and with the faith that his way is the right way. And so that has given me a stronger conviction from last year coming into this year.
Wow, those are really excellent points that you have made there, and I'm glad you talked about God. But I want to go back a little bit again, because that manifestation is very important. I'm sure you had written it down somewhere. I'm sure you have held that vision firmly. And because of that, it came to pass. But let's go back a little bit about you leaving a steady job within a central government and went on to work into a non-central government in a contract position. What was the propelling force that made you do this? What exactly was it that led you to do this?
I think my ability to see beyond the now would have propelled me, because I would have calibrated where will I be in the next 5 years if I should stay within this permanent job, within the central government ministry, as opposed to where could I be with a government entity, but on a contract. And after that reflection, I would have come to the conclusion that making this shift would set up my career for an explosion, because the opportunities for growth is endless at that entity, as opposed to the central government ministry. So I did not stay within that mind frame that the permanency of the position was sufficient to cause me to quell my desire to explode and to grow abundantly. And so I would have opted to make that leap of faith. And today I can say that I have made the correct decision. And I'm looking back now and saying that it was really a no-brainer, but it was a moment where I had to pause and to reflect that there are some risks that are worth taking. And I can see the returns at this juncture, because the opportunities will arise. I am a young professional. My future is bright. And so to make this kind of move, in my estimation, it is strategic, and it is one that reflects some calculations as to what the future holds based on the promises of God.
Wow, excellent points. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. But it is also said, Mr. Brooks, that every path you walk, there are lessons that you take from that path. What are some of the lessons that you have taken from 2022, that path of that year that you have walked through?
I believe that one of the greatest lessons for me is that being at the top of your game, it only comes when you really extract from the past how you would engage the future. So I would have reflected on what the past was really, and then I would have utilized those opportunities to shape what the future holds. So significantly for me, the lessons I would have garnered is that in life, there are moments when you have to take stock of where you are at and to make decisions that might seem unpopular, to make decisions that is in your best interest. And so I think that I became one with that in last year, and that was a profound lesson for me, because I think as a people, we have been cultured into the notion that change somehow is unhealthy. But I believe that last year would have taught me that change is healthy. And sometimes change is the only opportunity that you will get to go into, to walk into your purpose. And I believe that that recognition of the importance of change, though it might be uncomfortable, though it might be disruptive, I believe that change is what we have to focus on to continuously reinvent ourselves. Because if you do not change, your inspiration dies out. And whenever your inspiration dwindles, that is where the purpose of your life is evading you. And so I think that I recognized that last year, and that would have given me the opportunity to replenish, to become more energized, to be more motivated. And that is where I am at today, Dave.
Excellent points. Wow. I hear vision written all over your lessons right there. And this is a good way to just pause right here to thank you for coming into the room. Those who came into the room after we just started, we are talking with a young professional. And for the next month, we will be looking at the topic of reflections and gratitude. We will be talking to some young professionals, and we will also be talking to some older persons later on. But youth is the time. And so we wanted to just make sure we talk to some of these youths, because many a times we pass them by and we don't hear what they have to say. But we want to focus on them a little bit here so that we can know what they have in mind. We're talking, as I said before, with Mr. Dane Brooks, and he has taken some leap of faith. He has had some manifestations, and he has taken some healthy risk. And here he is with us tonight. I just want to pause again to say that the Fireside Chat platform will be embarking on several projects over the next month into the end of the year. And this is one of the projects that we will be doing on the Fireside platform.
Are you looking to rise higher in 2023, but you lack the confidence, knowledge, or you are feeling less than inspired to rise? Look no further than Go Higher 2023. One full year of learning and empowerment. So kickstart and power up to higher level growth. Treat yourself to a new you. Go Higher 2023. Monthly starting February 1st, 2023. Empowerment, leadership goals, mastery, vision board acceleration, mentorship, and more. High-level speakers and motivational sessions. Remember, the key to becoming the best you is to start now. Register for more details.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Rise Higher in 2023. I believe that trust was in the mind of Mr. Brooks, why he decided to move from one institution to another, because his intention is to rise higher in 2023. Mr. Brooks, let's go on a little bit more with this conversation, because what I hear you talking about was all positives. And so sometimes you wonder, when you hear so much positive, was there ever any negative? Was there a time when you had to pause to reflect because you felt like, things were not happening the way you want them? You were overwhelmed. Things were not going along your own street. Was there ever a time? Were there any negatives?
There is always those moments, because I think within the same period of time, I think I would have entered a zone where I am reflecting on my net worth. I was reflecting on where I'm at, and does the space in which I'm operating, will it provide me with the opportunity to expand as I wanted to? And I think because the space might not have necessarily provided me with that growth potential, I think I would have started to question where I'm at in terms of whether I'm moving too slow, whether I'm actually fully realizing my full potential. So all of those questions started to preoccupy my mind. And at points I would have given to say that I might not be moving as I should. I might be too relaxed, too comfortable, but that period would have enabled me to better appreciate God's timing, because I always say that God's timing is not always our timing. And so we might often want things to move a particular pace, but God has a way of working things that there is some delay on the journey, but those delays are not denials. And that is what I was able to better appreciate. So coming out of my period of negative, if you could frame it that way, I emerged with some positives out of it. And I think I'm better off today for those.
Excellent points. Because if you come through the negatives without a lesson, then you would not have done anything for yourself. But let's dig a little deeper, because all of these lessons that you've learned, whether they have been negative or positive, I'm sure someone here can gain something from what you have said. How do you think these lessons will help you in your forward movement in life? How do you think these will help to propel you more, whether it's on that side or on this side?
I believe that it allowed me to develop different perspectives about life. I think it promoted greater self-awareness. And I think that that is important for anyone, whether you are young, middle-aged, or senior. Self-awareness is important. And I think that through that greater level of self-awareness that I would have developed, I feel that I am more empowered for the future. And that is the benefit of perspective. That is the benefit of experience. And because of this, I believe that this has given me added value. And that added value will manifest in better decisions that I will ultimately make in the future. Decisions that will be more thoughtful, decisions that will be calculated. And so that, I believe, would inure to me being able to go on a path for self-acceleration. And so that for me would be how I see these negatives and positives being able to shape the future and the years to come for me. My single word is really self-awareness. And that is an important word as you seek to grow and to reach your full potential.
That's self-awareness, learning more about who you really are so that you can grow yourself. My mentor, John Maxwell, said, you can only grow yourself if you know yourself. And you cannot grow others before you can grow yourself. So that self-awareness is really critical in everything that we do. As we come down, Mr. Brooks, and again, if you're joining us, we are talking with Mr. Brooks, Dane Brooks. He is a monitoring and evaluation specialist. He's an adjunct faculty lecturer, and he is a public speaker. And he does so much more than those three things that I have written. Ask him, he will tell you. But let's talk about, sharing lessons with other young persons or even older persons. What words would you give to a young person like yourself or even an older person who is reflecting at this time, maybe on the positives or even the challenges of 2022? What would you say to them?
I would say to them that they should enjoy the big and the little successes, because I think that especially for young people, we are often locked within a box to respond to the pressures that society have on us. And we are challenged to move at a particular rate, at a particular speed. And so oftentimes we do not appreciate where we are at. We do not appreciate what we have achieved at this particular stage. And so I think that for me, there must be that acknowledgement of your big as well as your little success, because it is sometimes in the little things that much will be achieved. So if you're in a healthy state of mind, many persons would not necessarily see that as a massive success, because the public might not necessarily readily see it, because it's not a possession, a material possession. But something as being in your healthy mind is a major success. And so I think that the major thing for me that I would say to young, middle-aged, and old individual is to appreciate where you're at in your life, but not to settle for where you're at. So you appreciate it, but you do not settle. And so you will ultimately be able to achieve contentment. And I think a lot of people, they don't have contentment. And so that is something that is not healthy. And it is reflected in the degeneration in the society, because there is that absence of contentment. So most definitely appreciate where you're at, and developing gratitude is important.
Excellent points. I do see one of my assistants dropping them in the chat right there. I want to thank you so much, because these are very potent points that you're making right here, not just for the youth, but even for the older persons. I like the one that you said about the developing gratitude, because from gratitude springs so many other things. So developing gratitude is very important. So what's next for Mr. O'Dane, 2023 and beyond? The last time you were here, we talked about going into public politics, going into politics. What's next for you?
I think that at this point, I'm awaiting God to reveal what's next for me. I can only trust in his timing. But from my standpoint, I'm always preparing myself for what is to come. I believe that alignment is an important facet of life. But when things start to align, you must be ready for that alignment. And so what I'm doing currently is to grow as an individual, but more importantly, to also give back to my community, to empower and to uplift persons that I'm able to come into contact with. Because I've always said that if I'm able to inspire and to motivate one individual, I think I would have done a pretty good job. So at this point, my major focus is on building myself both physically, mentally, as well as spiritually, so that I'm able to unlock whatever God has in store for me.
Thank you so much. That is definitely a great way forward. So persons are hearing and they said, how can I contact Mr. Brooks for public speaking or any of the other activities that he does? He's also part of the Jamaican Youth Foundation, Education Foundation, and so many other things. Talk to us about some of the other things that you do, and how can persons contact you?
Well, I am really big on charity. So I'm active in the youth space. I have launched an initiative, Elevator Live. I'm calling it Elevator Live. And that initiative is to provide young people with a space where they are able to share their stories of inspiration. And it will be in the form of a podcast, because I believe that young people have much to contribute, but we are not given the opportunity to both contribute and also to be heard. So I have launched that podcast series, so the participants can check that out on Spotify as well as on Anchor. It's called Elevator Live with Odin. You can also reach me via LinkedIn, Odin Brooks. You can also reach me via Instagram at Odin Brooks JA. I'm also on Facebook. So suffice to say, I'm all over the place. If you drop my name in Google, you should be able to see something come up. So I am readily accessible. Once I know Dr. Brooks, you can always go through Dr. Brooks as well. So I am here to inspire and to motivate.
Thank you so much. And this is such a great way to segment into the question and answer, because we always open the floor so that you, the audience, can ask our guests any other questions that you may have. If you have listened and you have, pondered some of the things that he said, and you have a question, you can either drop them in the chat, or you can go ahead when we change the vision, you can go ahead in the chat, or you can ask the question offhand, and Odin will be happy to answer your question. But what is your parting word to the audience, Odin? What would you say to this audience? Something that you want to talk to them about reflection, or something that you want to leave with them for tonight?
I would say stay grounded in who you are. Finding yourself is important, and that is ultimately when you have found your purpose. So I would want to say to persons on this meeting that finding your purpose is the start of you creating that pathway for you to walk into your destiny. So importantly, remain grounded in who you are. Don't allow people to change your moral compass. Don't allow society to change your moral compass. So remain grounded, and that should set you up pretty well to walk into your purpose, because a life lived without purpose is like a leaf that has fallen from the tree. It just blows everywhere that the wind takes it. So finding that purpose gives you direction. It gives you a reason to get up each day. It gives you motivation. So I would challenge each person on this call to have that reflective moment, to ponder on what this life is about. What is my real purpose here? How will I translate that purpose? And purpose does not necessarily, for me, mean that you are going to be a millionaire necessarily. Your purpose really can be to just inspire someone, to change the course of the life of someone. So having that discussion with yourself is important to ultimately living a fulfilling life.
Wow. Potent points again right there. Indeed, a powerful way to end this side of the fireside chat. Mr. Brooks, I want to thank you so much for really coming and sharing with us your reflections over the time, a page from your own book,